Good afternoon, everyone. This is Juan Catamayo, JCT for Education for you. Happy Monday, everyone. And this week we celebrate Career Week. We will be going through the college application process. And what a best way to start with career evaluations with one of the leading experts around the world. This person is no foreign or strange to a lot of folks that are going to be watching. So without further ado, let's go and invite him over. Ta 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 from Scotland. Can you guess? 1, 2, 3. We're waiting for the signal to go. Mr. David Allen.
Hello.
How are you, my friend?
Very well, thanks.
A long time no seeing you in person.
I know it's been far too long.
What do you think? Was it at CIS?
I think it was in Bilbao.
It was in Bilbao. How's everything in Scotland?
It's great. I'm very happy to report we've had no new deaths for 4 days now from this virus that's going around.
Okay.
It seems that Scotland's got its act together, and we're just happy to live up on the islands and be away from just about everybody.
Okay, that's really good. I am not very happy in terms of reports. We just heard that cases here in Florida are going like crazy. It was reported 9,500 cases just yesterday. So we don't know, but the social distancing is not working pretty well around here. But let's see. But everyone that is watching, we have people, David, from all over the world popping in, popping out. People from Latin America, from Europe, the Middle East, Africa. You don't know who is going to show up, but we have students, parents, high school counselors, independent counselors. We have educators. We have also universities popping in. Thais just saying hello. Thais, where are you right now? And you have Beatrice Blecher sending her blessings to you. For those of you that don't know who I'm talking to, David is a legend. He actually is Scottish, went to St. Andrews University for his undergraduate. What was your degree in?
It was in biological sciences.
Okay. And then you went to Bath for your master's degree.
Yeah, I did that after I'd started working in schools. I was doing it mostly by distance, but then also by summer school.
Okay. And now Thais is saying she's in Sao Paulo right now. Last week, yeah. You've been there many times.
Yeah, every year for the last 8 or 9 years, I think.
Okay, and we will get to that point when you were in Sao Paulo and all the trips that you've done around the world. David, this is a conversation, and so let's go forward. You ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we get into career evaluations, did you grow up in that island that you are right now?
No, I grew up about a 30-minute flight south in Aberdeen, which is the oil capital of Europe. So back in, I won't tell you which decade.
Okay, so don't tell me what decade, but so you went to high school in Aberdeen?
Yep, I had, I went to a private school that my parents were able to afford, thanks to my grandparents. Did the Scottish system, did my, what they call hires, and then I went on to 6th year studies and then went on to university. Did not have a lot of career advice, I have to say. But then there weren't so many careers around back then.
And how did you ended up at St. Andrews? You have 5 choices. Why that one?
Yeah, I visited. We were allowed in my last year of school. We were allowed to take a day off school. It was like an excused absence to go and visit universities. And you did the open day, which is when the universities have thousands of people join, and you get to visit different departments. So I went to St. Andrews. I also went to Dundee. I liked them both, but I just liked St. Andrews that little bit more. And now,
you play golf?
Nope, never. Even though my room in first year in my residence, we had a room that overlooked the 18th green of the old course.
I tell you, and could you respond it to me, because when I work at Lynn University, we had quite a good number of Scottish. Was the relationship between golf and Scotland?
Well, Scotland's where it was founded. It was where it was, I don't know if you invent something like golf, but that's where it first started. And it has the oldest championship. It's the oldest course. And everybody that plays golf wants to play around at St. Andrews, particularly on what we call the old course. which is the oldest one, obviously.
Holly says hello. And how long do you think golf been around?
Since probably the 13 or 1400s.
Yeah, I was thinking
I think Mary Queen of Scots used to play golf to keep herself amused when she was
because the Aztecs, they also play what we call football. We call it soccer here. So it goes ancient generations ago. So let's move forward and let's go for you just jump into your master's degree. And then when did your international career started?
Well, actually, before I started teaching, I finished university, did my undergraduate, and then went over and started teaching in a very small English medium school in the northwest of Pakistan, just because I was trying to get into a career in public relations, would you believe, and just didn't get any opportunities. And so this job came up, I applied for it, and I thought, why not? And it made me realize I wanted to work in education. It made me realize I wanted to work in international education specifically.
And
I'm still in touch with some of my former students who are going on to great things these days. They're lawyers and doctors and cardiac surgeons and all sorts. I went back and did my then I did my teaching qualification, which is a postgrad 1-year course, and then started teaching internationally. So.
And walk us through your career in international education.
Well, I started in a small school in Pakistan where I taught just about anything, because when I went there were 2 classes and 2 teachers, and then we were doing IGCSEs there. We then went did my year's teacher training when Yvonne, my wife, was doing her teacher training as well, in a different place. Then we both went over to the Canary Islands. I worked in the Canary Islands in an American school.
Yes.
I was teaching science. Was head of science there. Then we went to Saudi Arabia and taught in a smallish British international school there. Then we went to El Salvador and worked in the Academia Britannica there, where I was head of science for a number of years.
Cuscatleca?
Cuscatleta, yeah. We lived in Santa Tecla, just a short walk from where the school was.
Okay.
And then from there we went back to Saudi Arabia, to Jeddah, and worked in a British school there where I started college counseling as well.
What year was that? College counseling in Saudi, in Jeddah?
2002 maybe.
Okay, and you become the president of now International CAC, before OACAC. What year?
Yeah, that was 2009.
Okay, and your conference, you prepared the conference in what city? Was it in?
It was at Chapman in Orange.
In Chapman, okay. So it's been a transformation. Now, David, you founded Univisits, and how long you've been? Can you explain what Univisits is before we get into career evaluations?
While I was being a college counselor at the school in Jeddah, I was doing the usual bus tours the college counselors do around the OACAC conference. And on the back of a bus driving through East Texas, speaking to Debbie McDowell, I realized that maybe I could run a tour in the UK. So I did, as a counselor, a group of friends. I drove the bus for a number of years. And then as we were thinking to move back home, I was really wanting to keep in the business and keep contact with all the friends I'd made. And I did a business plan, realized that there was a business in organizing tours of colleges in the UK, universities in the UK. And so set up Univisits. So that's 10, 11 years now. At the same time, the college counseling, I wanted to keep going. So I also started up Global College Counselors with a colleague. And that is how we got into the careers evaluation, is through the college counseling aspect.
And for those of you who watch it, I had the opportunity to join Univisits tours in the UK. Absolutely phenomenal. We stay at Premier Hotels premises.
I don't do that anymore. I've moved affiliations to Ibis Hotels.
Oh, the Ibis Hotels, good. But I remember, David, thanks to you, I learned quite a lot. I still need to go back and do more visits with you guys, but highly recommend you, man. I truly learned so much, and I won't never forget our visit to Cambridge and having that visiting friends down there. It was absolutely phenomenal. So keep up the good work. Right now, university visits, they are pretty much shut down for the fall. Any talks about spring?
No, I mean, I think the earliest I'll be doing anything with uni visits is probably going to be in the spring of next year. So
okay, already.
Hopefully we'll get back. I'm wanting to get back. My March tour for counselors was cancelled this year. We want to go to the Czech Republic and see the universities there, and they were excited to host us. So I'm hopefully going back there again in March next year.
What's the total number of universities in the UK?
Approximately 300.
300. How many have you visited personally?
Oh,
100?
I'd hate to think. I would say over 100, yeah.
Over 100, okay. So I have some work to do. I think I've been to 22, 25, so still some catch up. So David, this week is Career Week at JCT for Education. Students now, we call it here rising seniors, going into their last year from around the world, and they're thinking vacation mode, but at the same time, parents and students, they are like thinking right now, okay, it's time to get serious. I'm going to maybe my last year, my 11th year. And I was thinking, I know David been running this global counseling for years, and you're an expert, you're an outlier on career evaluations. There are many evaluations in the field or industry, and parents, they don't know where to start. So I have a little anecdote here. Right before we were coming live, one of my colleagues in the office, the career evaluators of our times were our parents. So there was no career evaluation, my friend. It was like on her case, father say, no, you're not studying education. You're studying business. You're going to make a lot of money. So she studied business, but guess what? She's been with us for 15 years in education. And ironically, she told us her mom run a kindergarten in Caracas, Venezuela. So you guessed probably her name, Ana. And then the mom at that time, she was making more money running a kindergarten than her father running a business, like with a business degree. Then it goes my case. I love photography. I love drawing. I love colors. And then I was a good student. My last 3 years of high school were phenomenal. Math, everything. And then my mom said, "Oh, you will be an engineer. And by the way, you will be a mechanical engineer." So I'm like, "What? I wanna design. I wanna do, create. I wanna paint, drawing." She said, "No. That career is no good. You better have an engineering degree." And she was my career counselor. So that happens.
Not so much of the counseling. Yes, the direction.
So now, what's the importance of a good career evaluation? What do you think?
I think it would be false to say that a career evaluation is going to give you absolutes.
Okay.
It should give you more information. It should allow you to explore your options. These days, the number of different careers that there are is expanding almost daily.
Okay.
So any career evaluation should highlight the skills that you've got. It should then highlight the careers that may well then use those skills.
Okay.
So, for example, you would have a lot of the artistic things would come through, but just because you've got that skill doesn't mean you have to do that.
Okay.
So it should allow you the option. For most of the students that I work with, and I work with a lot, what it does for the students is it reconfirms what they think they might want to do, gives them the options to look at other suitable careers, other directions they might like to go in. Because you and I know neither one of us is stuck in one career all our lives.
No, none of us. And then as an independent counselor, I've been as an independent counselor for 9 years, and I tell the students, listen, I had knee surgery. So before the doctor went to see how to operate my knee, he needed to come out with 2 evaluations, an X-ray and an MRI, to design and a strategy how to run that surgery. That's what I tell our students. We need to have a career evaluation. I mean, to consolidate your thought, if that's your career, and second of all, to give you options and alternatives, and to give a more dynamic conversation with the school counselor, parents, and so forth. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. That's correct. You want students to be informed. You don't want students to go from what mom and dad are telling them they have to be. You don't want students to go from what they see on the TV
Mm-hmm.
or on social media, because a simple example, forensic scientist, you don't run around solving crimes like we do on CSI.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a forensic scientist spends a lot of time in a lab looking down a microscope. So a career evaluation should give direction. A lot of students really don't know.
Correct.
They're sitting there and they're thinking, I don't know what subjects I should take to allow me to make sure I can get into the career. A lot of students aren't really sure what career they want to get into, and a lot of students aren't sure that even if they get into that career, they're going to enjoy it.
David, what's the difference between a student running their own career evaluation online for free? There are so many tests out there, and running a professional career evaluation with a professional like you?
Let me use an analogy. You submit a tax return. Do you have a tax advisor run you through it once you've done it, or do you just go online, submit it, and hope for the best?
Oh, I don't hope for the best. It costs a lot of money to hope for the best.
Exactly, and meeting with a professional, having a professional take you through something will allow you to make the most of it, and will allow you to not misinterpret different aspects of the report. It would be easy to look at it and you can interpret it to say, that's just reassuring me, that's telling me that I have to do this.
Okay.
You know, it's important that any career evaluation doesn't lead you to the answer that you want in the first place.
Correct. So David, when you start to be a high school counselor, at what point did you start using a career evaluation, whether in El Salvador, in Saudi Arabia, in Pakistan?
No, I didn't actually. I wish I had. When I was working as the college counselor in Saudi Arabia, I did interview all of my year 11, so all my 10th grade students before they made their IB choices, because these were critical for them.
Okay.
So we would go through, and I did have a little bit of knowledge then about, well, if you want to study medicine, you've got to take higher chemistry.
Okay.
I do remember a number of students during that time saying to me, I don't know what I want to be, but my dad says I have to do business.
Okay.
Or my mom says I have to do business.
Okay.
And these were students that you could see needed something to help them guide their parents into the fact that, yes, perhaps they do want to study business, but maybe they want to involve theatre in there. So they want to get into theatre management. And so it's important that that conversation can take place as well. I wish, honestly, looking back at the work that I do now, I wish I'd had it when I worked there. I did actually visit that school in February before lockdown.
Okay.
And spoke to the counsellor there and spoke to the head and some former colleagues and said, look, this is what we could have for these students. And they were very enthusiastic.
Thank you. Thank you. Maestro Castrillo in Sevilla, Spain, he says, good job. Thank you. I will tell you later what I did, but I actually acquired one of his paintings in Sevilla, Spain. It's absolutely gorgeous. So that's another story, like gold for another time. So he said, I'm a real fan of him. You should follow him. His paintings are phenomenal. So you will see what I'm talking about. So let's have this conversation with parents. I'm sure there are many parents like Anna's and my families that they are predetermined to say, you're going to study this, you're going to study that. Mm-hmm. Has this tool been effective for a lot of students to change parents' mindsets?
I think it's given parents, students aren't going to say to me, that's great, my parents completely changed their mind. Because that dynamic, that's a conversation they need to have when they get home. And I always stress, we strongly encourage any interviews that we have with students that they involve parents as well.
Okay.
The nice thing with the tool that we use is that parents have access as well. They have a guest access to the tool so they can do the research. But so many parents think the world hasn't changed.
Yes. Yes.
And it's really, and it's a hard conversation for a student to turn around and say, no, you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
But it's nice for the students when they've got evidence backing it up. And
correct.
Sometimes, on the way to the interview, we have students having that conversation with their parents about careers and everything else. And the nice thing for us is that sometimes the careers that they were just talking about in the car come up on the evaluation.
Correct.
So I think, you know, sometimes it works that way, and sometimes it actually helps the parents with the students.
I wish I knew you. I wish I knew you in high school, but you're not old enough so to know that information. But
yeah,
David, so here in the US, you have 4 years, ninth, 10th, 11th,
yeah,
and 12th.
yeah.
Out of those 4 years, where do you think will be integral to bring that career evaluation? On your 10th year transitioning to 11th, on your ninth transitioning to 10th? Where?
Generally, we work with 10th graders.
Okay.
Before you're making those choices for AP or IB or A level, we work with that, because part of the tool that we use as well will make suggestions of subjects that might be, you know, integral to study.
Okay.
So 10th grade is a great time. Younger than that, ninth grade, you're still finding your feet. You're still kind of just coming out of middle school. And there's all kinds of social and other stuff going on there. I think 10th grade is where a lot of the base is laid for the 11th and 12th grade years. So that's a good year to really focus in. You're essentially, you're not a kid anymore. You're almost an adult, and really that's the time to start knuckling down and focusing in.
And their brain is changing cognitively. So they're becoming adults and so forth.
Yeah, by then you're pretty much fixed in terms of your aptitudes. There won't really be any statistically significant changes in terms of the aptitudes that we measure in verbal, numerical, and abstract. What I would say is,
go ahead.
Younger than that, and it's usually us men who develop later than the women. There's a spatial test that we do. That three-dimensional thinking is not something the male brain copes with much until it becomes 15. So 15 years of age is about the key one. Okay.
Now, like the airlines, we have a lot of choices to fly in. Career evaluations, there are many choices up there. And you've been running Morris B for how many years now? 9 years?
10. Well, as long as we've had Global College Counselors, we've been using Morris B.
Okay. So like the airlines, why did you choose Morris B opposed to any other in the industry?
Well, we liked it. My colleague Ellen, her school had been using it for almost 20 years.
Okay.
So it's been around a while. It's got legs. You know, it's not that there's proof that it absolutely works, but it's been around, and they are BPS, British Psychological Society, accredited. They reaccredit themselves every however many years. They have a British kite mark. I like it particularly because it tests 3 different aspects and integrates all.
Okay.
So there's an aptitude test, so you get a sense of a student's innate abilities. There's an interest inventory, so you get a sense of what the student's interested in, and there is a personality part too.
Okay.
Because you and I know that you will meet some students where they may have the aptitude, they may have the interest in being a doctor, but the personality just doesn't come across.
David, for Maria Cristina is asking, do you recommend for a student to take the test more than once?
I would say the test part, no, because Morris B do track and they do retest people, and from age 15 and upwards, if they took the test again when they were 25, there'd be no statistically significant difference in their results. But the interests, absolutely do the interests again. Absolutely do the personality again.
Okay. Now,
because we know they change.
That's good information. Now, with Morris B being around for over 60 years, am I correct?
Over 60 years, yeah.
And around 70% of the schools in the UK, high schools, are using the test or different tests?
I would say no, 70% of private schools, roughly.
Okay, are using the test?
That may have changed since the last time I heard it, but that's what I heard.
Okay, nowadays, I mean, I remember when you and I went to Colombia like 4 years ago, you were presenting the test to high school counselors all over Colombia, and it was a paper test. Now they progress, and now can you tell us the latest on their technology, because it's fascinating.
Well, now everything's online, so students can take the test on their laptop, on their desktop, on their tablet. They can do it on their phone, but it doesn't work so well because of the pagination. So now it's fully online. the students take the test, but then they can retake the interest survey as many times as they want for the rest of their lives. They can retake the personality questionnaire as many times as they want, and it will automatically update the report.
Okay.
And so there's absolutely, let's say it's 5 years from now, they don't have to spend a lot of money, they don't have to spend a lot of time. They go back in, they retake it, and it's all constantly being updated. The careers are constantly updated. The videos that they have for each of the different careers are constantly updated. Careers change. We know careers change. Some are disappearing, some are exploding. We have career data from a UK survey about the likely percentage growth in careers predicted for 2027. This was pre-COVID, of course. Mm-hmm. And they have the opportunity within their career list that Moresby gives them to absolutely focus on different aspects of their profile.
Okay.
So they can focus more on their interests, or they can focus more on their personality, or they can focus more on aptitudes, etc. And it tweaks the list.
You have done over 3,000 career evaluations around the world.
No, I haven't counted, but yeah.
So we were running data, and you are big. I mean, you're an outlier on that. How many countries have you traveled to proctor the test?
Let me think. Well, Venezuela, when it was still okay to go to Venezuela. Brazil, Canada. No, I haven't proctored in Canada. I've presented on it.
Okay.
Germany, Switzerland, Italy, the UK, China.
Middle East?
Yes. Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Saudi Arabia.
And have you seen primarily predominant international schools, or both, or public schools as well?
No, international schools, although one of the schools we used to go to in Venezuela, in Valencia, was a public school. I think it was fee-paying and selective, but it was a public school.
David,
lovely little school.
David, I know you and I, we traveled together, and for years I've been hearing about Moresby, but for those of you watching, Beatriz Blecher is right here. She's watching right now. Sofia Navarro, she's also watching, but I have seen what you've done with this evaluation. So walk us through. Let's say that JCT Pro Education sends you a student. What do you do then?
Okay, so the first thing that we would do is give the student a code, and the code allows it's not quite a billing thing, but it means that they're under JCT's umbrella.
Okay.
So that when I log into the Moresby page, I can then see the report. I've added the JCT advisors, so the JCT advisors can also see the student report.
Okay.
The student then spends 100, maybe 110 minutes doing the test. It can be done in one sitting. It can be done in multiple sittings.
Okay.
Once they've got the test, I'll have a look at it. If there's anything that needs to be really done, that's easily done as well. And then we will set up a time, and I'll take the student through the interview. Okay. At the interview, we take them through all the different parts of the report. There's maybe 8 or 10 different sections of the report. There's 5 or 6 sections to the website, which I'll take the students through. How to add their qualifications if they're already in 11th grade. What the qualification suggestions are if they're in 10th grade. The career evaluation, what the careers are, show them how to use the careers part to do some research, because it's important. This doesn't give them answers. This gives them a tool to find answers.
Okay.
And so it'll give them 12 basic careers. Those are careers based on the whole profile. The students can click on each of those. Those are hyperlinked. Every career has information about what the career is, the pathway that you would take to get into it. So whether it's a master's degree job, bachelor's degree job, high school diploma job, some career data, whether it's growing or not, videos, interviews, short 4-minute interviews. One of the careers has 26 videos. Some of them have none, some have 1 or 2. And then each of those careers has a page with 12 similar careers. And that's where the students can get in and start researching. Because they may look at one career, mechanical engineer, for example, for yourself, and it may come up and you might say, well, yeah, but that's not what I want. But what else would use my skills? What else would my profile suit? And you might click on it and it might have aeronautical engineering, and it might have robotics, and then it might have mechatronics, or it might have bioengineering. And so you can then start researching these other careers.
Okay.
All of them are able to then to be added to the students list.
David, when you're doing the discovery part with the
Mhm.
students and the parents are there, you immediately find the aha moment. Am I correct?
You, yeah, you get a lot of students that sometimes there's that look of relief,
Uh-huh.
um, but sometimes there's a look of, oh my goodness, thank goodness, wow, what else? And then a lot of the parents then say, my God, I wish I had this when I was young. In fact, that's almost universal. Almost every parent says, I wish I'd had this when I was young. And then quite a number of parents say, can I take this test?
Yes.
Um, and in fact, last year, I think we had a couple of moms take the test when we were in Switzerland.
Okay.
Because, the moms had been moms and they were thinking about career changes. And absolutely, you can take the test. Anybody at
No,
any age from 15 onwards can take this test.
absolutely. And I will tell you, just with two students, but particularly one student that you work this summer with us,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this the sense of release from this kid was
Mm-hmm.
amazing because father was like his agenda was business. Mom was
Mm-hmm.
in the neutral side, but once
Yeah.
you say no, even engineering, you mention architecture, and
Mm-hmm.
everything goes design. The sense of relief for that kid, it was just like, and now the family is supporting him
Yeah.
for his goals. So it has been very beautiful to see that transformation, that aha moment, and that's why we love working with you, David.
That's lovely to hear.
We have a dear colleague of ours in Colombia. His name is Brian, and I will read the
Mhm.
question to you. Sorry, I joined late, and I'm not sure if you answered this, but hello, Brian, by the way.
Hi, Brian.
Can this test be run in any school, specifically in Colombia, David?
Yeah, I mean, all you need is a fairly stable internet connection. If it's a school, we've had students up to 110 take it simultaneously.
Okay.
There's an easy thing for me to do to send a link which does a systems test, an IT systems test.
Mm-hmm.
Um, don't ask me to explain what it does because that's IT stuff and I don't get it. But we haven't had an issue with that at all. Students can take the test at home as you know.
Yes.
We like it if we're working in a school with a class group to have them all sit down and take it at the same time.
Okay.
One thing we didn't mention is that there's actually a vocabulary test as well for non-native speakers.
Okay.
We add it if we're sitting with a group, we add it to the test while they're not looking, so to speak. So while they're busy with one test, we can add it. It's
Okay.
maybe 5 or 6 minutes, and it allows an adjustment to be made for any students that maybe there's a couple of words that they're not familiar with.
Okay.
Usually, we don't make any changes at all because the students that we work with, their level of English is fine. But occasionally you will
Yes.
find.
Then occasionally you
Yeah,
might see a couple words that they're very UK-ish instead of
yeah, things like bungalow or caravan,
uh-huh.
that maybe are a little bit culturally insensitive or not universal. But that's what we do. We tweak the scores. We absolutely would love to get back over to Colombia. I loved my time there. Absolutely
Oh,
loved
we
it.
had a good time. Brian, I took David, we were in Cali, Bogota, Medellin, Cartagena, Barranquilla. We had an
Yeah.
extraordinary trip. And Brian, I will tell you something. If I am a headmaster, if I'm a school principal, if I'm a high school counselor, all my students will have to take the test. I mean, it won't be mandatory, but I will hope all of them because you, David, myself, we all had this question in high school. What am I going to study? And this test is going to help you tremendously. What do you think, David?
Yeah. We have a number of schools now who have made it part of the curriculum. It's built in.
Okay.
So a couple of schools in Sao Paulo. We have couple of schools now in Switzerland as well, where it is part of the program. And
Okay.
because the counselors can then be added so that they can see what's going on with the students as well. There's data that you can extract, which is for people who love data, that's possible. But it allows the counselors as well to see which students have got engineering on there. So if there's a university that really specializes in engineering coming in to visit, they can target those students and say, you need to come and listen to this guy or this person talk.
Correct.
So yeah, we love it when the schools do the whole group because then we know everybody. We know now that everybody who is graduating from St. Paul's in Sao Paulo or Escola Americana in Campinas, they've all taken the Mars.
Great,
Um,
great. How long does it take for you to run a feedback with the student and parents?
Feedback generally 30 to 35 minutes.
Okay,
It depends if the student has to translate. Sometimes it'll take a little bit longer if mum and dad don't speak English, but that's usually not an issue.
okay.
Um, if I'm not fabulous with Spanish, but if it was Colombia, for example, I'll be able to know enough Spanish to understand if the student's telling mum and dad the truth. I can just about manage in Portuguese now as well, but generally speaking, mum and dad speak pretty good
So
English.
você fala português?
Ah, ok. Muito bom.
Muito bom. No, because we have Beatriz Blecher from Brazil, and she's asking a question. Do students
Okay.
normally take the test during their junior or senior year? You want to respond to that one?
They would normally take that in their sophomore year, but that doesn't mean they can't take it in their junior year.
Okay.
The only issue with the students that we work with is if they're in their sophomore year, they're making their choices about AP or IB. And so this actually helps with that. In fact, Barry at St. Paul's, first thing he says when he meets with the students when they're making their choices is, let me see your Morse B.
Okay.
So
Okay.
he goes straight to that to then see. So if a kid's wanting to take higher level physics, but they want to be a graphic artist and their number score is quite low, that leads to a conversation.
Thank you so much. Beatriz is
right.
laughing. She is laughing at my Portuguese accent. But anyway,
I speak restaurant Portuguese.
you still, and your Spanish is quite good, I remember.
It comes back better when I'm in a Spanish environment. I
Well,
remember chatting to your aunt was really lovely that
drinking
morning.
cafecito in the morning.
Drinking cafecito, making the breakfast while you were in your bed sleeping.
Yeah, sleeping in because you guys wake up too early for me. So, David, this evaluation stays on the internet. I mean, the students, they have access, parents have access. It stays forever. Once they have the evaluation, it's forever, right?
The students' access is for life. The parents get a guest access until the students turn 18. And when the students turn 18, they're considered adults, and so the parent access is removed.
Okay.
But the parents don't get access to the student's account. That's important. The parents get access to an account that looks like the student's. It's like a mirror account.
Okay.
But the students have access on their phone, on their iPad, whatever. I say to the students, as long as the internet's still around, their report will be around.
The internet is not going anywhere. It's staying around. So I think it will be around for generations.
At some point, we'll be implanting it into our brains. So,
of course, we just go and we're gonna press here. We just think. David, how is your feedback if you find something that Morse B needs to be changed? Do you send like a ticket and say, I do recommend this to you guys? Because you are a research platform for them as well.
Yeah, no, we do. When we first started 4 or 5 or 6 years ago, the career descriptions were very British or British centric, shall we say.
Yes.
And so my colleague and I sat one morning having coffee in a street cafe in Sao Paulo, basically, and we de-Britished all of the careers. So it doesn't say Royal Navy anymore. It'll say the Naval Service.
Okay.
It doesn't talk about, specific. Some of them still do a little bit. But Morse B are incredibly reactive to any kind of feedback. If we've got an issue with a student's report, that maybe there's a bit that doesn't make sense, or there's an issue with formatting, whatever, we send an email, and it's usually the same day, if not within 3 or 4 hours.
Oh, great. So they are very, very positive about your feedback. They take it right away.
They're very reactive. There are some changes coming, which are going to be for the better. We've already had a couple of webinars on that. And every couple of years, my colleague and I, we'd like to touch base with the mothership. So we go and we actually visit with the people.
Okay. For those of you that are just joining in, we are with David Allen, one of the leading experts around the world on career evaluations. David and we worked together for many years, and I believe he's one of the best. I couldn't think of anyone else. I done it, but I mean, you have so much experience with over 3,000 career evaluations performed. Actually, I don't know if you know Oliver Pearsons. He lives in Madrid, Spain. He has an independent office as well in Madrid. I need to connect the two of you guys. Oliver used to work for Rustic Pathways, and now he has his own independent counseling. And I will say, Oliver, David is the best for career evaluation. So Dave, Oliver sends a lot of students to boarding schools in the UK, by
Okay.
the way,
All right.
and he arranges career fairs and boarding school fairs in Madrid. So I will put the two of you in touch.
Sure.
Emily,
Yeah.
Emily says, Emily is saying her daughter, Luna says, good job. I like the accent. Oh, I guess my Portuguese, muito obrigado.
Yours or mine, yeah.
So what's next? David, how are things in the UK right now with returning back to schools? Are they opening up? What are you guys talking in the UK, Scotland? What are you guys doing?
Yeah. Schools in Wales are open now. Schools in England are open, but only for certain year groups to allow for social distancing. In Scotland, the schools have been shut, but they will open on August the 11th, and they're saying they will open for everybody, just as normal.
Okay.
Obviously, there'll be some changes in terms of logistics and hand washing and all the rest of it, but they think that Scotland will be able to eliminate this virus by the end of the summer.
Okay.
Which would. England are going to open, but there's going to be what they call a blended thing. Universities will be open, but I don't think we're going to see a return to the 300-seat auditorium lectures. I think they're all going to be online. And there's going to be a lot more sort of small group, almost social bubble type teaching going on.
Okay.
But we're hopeful. I mean, I'm ever an optimist, but always cautious with it.
David, when are you planning to come to the United States?
Maybe after November. Hopefully there'll be some changes after November, or maybe the following January. But I miss it. I miss the summer visiting the States, visiting friends. There's some wonderful, wonderful places that I visited in the States. Some not so nice either. I'm not a massive fan of large cities, but there are some smaller cities that I've really enjoyed. Shout out to Charleston.
Yeah, I miss seeing you, my friend, and my friends at the summer conference. They postponed it for next year. They postponed the Dublin conference in November. So hopefully I swing by and stop by. Can you tell people, our audience, you live in this tiny island in Scotland. What's the name of the island? I can't.
I live in the Orkney Islands. So I live in a small place called Costa in the Orkney Islands. It's fabulous.
What's the temperature?
Right now, probably about 12.
Nice,
nice. I think it got up to 17.
Wow, that's how beautiful. So you take a small plane, and what's the closest city that you fly into?
I fly from Kirkwall to Aberdeen. That's a 30-minute flight in a 30-seater, or down to Glasgow or Edinburgh. They're about 1 hour flying away, and they're slightly bigger planes.
And then you fly to Heathrow?
And then down through London or Paris or Frankfurt or somewhere,
Okay. David, this is Career Week for us, and what an amazing opportunity to have one of the best career evaluators in the world. It's been an honor. Any final thoughts for the students and parents and colleagues that are watching? What's your final thought about career evaluations?
I would say do your research, make sure it's going to give you the information that you want to help you make decisions, and realize that it's a tool. And like any tool, I always say to the students, you can have the best screwdriver in the world, but if you don't pick it up and use it, it's just furniture.
Wow. Wow. Well, with that end, I can't say anything else, but David, it's been an honor as always. No, it's the silence. But for those of you that just joined in, we will have this video housed on IGTV on Instagram, also on YouTube. And if you want to get in touch with David, we will have all his contact information. So again, David, thank you so much. Mi casa es tu casa. Come back soon.
Thank you. All right. Ciao. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you
so much, everyone. And remember, JCT Education for you. Buenas tardes. Gracias.
Bye.
Ciao.